The facility had no name. It didn't appear on maps. There was no sign at the entrance, no company logo on the walls, and no address anyone could search online. It stood deep beneath a mountain in Colorado, protected by armed guards, biometric doors, and enough security cameras to watch every hallway from every angle. Inside that facility was a system worth billions. A system that governments wanted, corporations feared, and only 7 people in the world knew how it truly worked. One of them was Daniel Carter, 42 years old, single father, quiet, invisible, and, according to his employers, replaceable. Daniel had worked at the facility for 9 years. He wasn't a scientist. He wasn't a billionaire executive. He wasn't even a department head. His official title was Systems Maintenance Supervisor. But titles didn't explain what Daniel actually did. Whenever the facility's central system failed, Daniel fixed it. When security doors locked unexpectedly, Daniel opened them. When the underground power grid malfunctioned, Daniel restored it. And when the facility's most sophisticated computer system froze, everyone called Daniel, because Daniel understood something nobody else did. The system wasn't just software. It was a living network of thousands of connected machines, sensors, cameras, doors, power stations, and encrypted servers. And Daniel had spent nearly a decade learning how every piece communicated. He could hear a strange vibration in a server room and know which cooling unit was failing. He could look at a blinking light and know which circuit had gone wrong. His coworkers used to joke that Daniel didn't work with machines. Machines worked with Daniel. But Daniel never cared about praise. He had a daughter. Lily was 10. And she was the reason he worked 12-hour shifts. Every morning before leaving for the facility, Daniel prepared Lily's breakfast. Every night, no matter how late he came home, he checked her homework. Her mother had died 5 years earlier. Since then, Daniel had been both parents, and he had promised Lily one thing: I'll always come home. That promise was tested one cold Tuesday morning. At 7:40 a.m., Daniel was called into the executive conference room. 3 men were waiting for him. The facility director, Marcus Hale, the security chief, Victor Grant, and the company's CEO, Evelyn Sterling. Evelyn was famous for making ruthless decisions. She didn't waste words. She didn't explain herself. She simply made decisions and expected everyone else to obey. She looked at Daniel. Down, Daniel sat. Marcus pushed a folder across the table. Daniel opened it. His face changed. It was a termination notice. He looked up. I'm being fired. Evelyn nodded. Effective immediately. Daniel stared at her. Why? Marcus answered. Budget restructuring. Daniel almost laughed. Budget restructuring. Yes. Daniel looked around the room. You spent $80 million upgrading the West Wing last month. Silence. He continued. And you're telling me you can't afford me? Evelyn's expression remained cold. Your position is being eliminated. Daniel slowly closed the folder. Who's taking over? Victor answered. A new technical team. Daniel nodded. Do they know the system? They've reviewed the documentation. Daniel looked at him. Documentation doesn't contain everything. Victor frowned. What does that mean? Daniel stood. It means there are things I never wrote down. Evelyn looked irritated. Are you threatening us? No. Daniel picked up his jacket. I'm warning you. Marcus laughed. Daniel, don't make this dramatic. Daniel looked at him. Removing the only person who's maintained the system for 9 years. Evelyn stood. Someone else can do your job. Daniel stared at her for several seconds. Then he nodded. Okay. He placed his security badge on the table, but before leaving he said quietly, There's one thing you should know. Evelyn raised an eyebrow. Looked toward the security camera in the corner. If the system ever locks itself. He paused. Try to force it open. Victor smirked. Open the door, because it won't like that. Then he walked away. Nobody took him seriously. That evening, Daniel drove home in his old pickup truck. Lily was waiting at the kitchen table. She looked at him. Home early. Daniel forced a smile. Yeah. You sick? No. Something happened. Daniel sat beside her. He hesitated. Then he said, Dad got fired. Lily's smile disappeared. We okay? Daniel's heart broke. He took her hand. We're okay. We'll figure it out. She looked into his eyes. You promised. Daniel smiled. I know. Always come home. Exactly. He hugged her. For the first time in years, Daniel went to bed without setting an alarm. But at exactly 11:47 p.m., something happened beneath the mountain. A red light appeared in the facility's central control room, then another, then another. The security monitors began flickering and alarms sounded. System integrity failure. Victor Grant rushed into the control room. What happened? A technician looked terrified. We don't know. Restart it. Tried it again. The technician entered the command. Nothing happened. Then every screen went black. The facility's lights turned off. Emergency lights came on. Doors throughout the underground complex slammed shut. Employees were trapped inside rooms. Security elevators stopped between floors. And then a message appeared on the main screen. Authorized operator required. Victor stared at it. What's that supposed to mean? The technician whispered. It wants a specific authorization. Whose? The technician checked the database. His face went pale. Daniel Carter. Silence. Victor grabbed his phone. Call him. They called Daniel. No answer. They called again. Still nothing. Finally, Daniel's phone rang at home. He woke up. Hello? Victor's voice came through. Daniel, we have a problem. Daniel sat up. What kind? The central system is locked. Daniel closed his eyes. He already knew what that meant. Did you try to override it? Yes. Daniel's voice became serious. Then stop. Victor hesitated. Every failed override makes it harder to unlock. You fix it? Daniel looked toward Lily's bedroom, then back at the phone. You fired me. I know. You took my badge. I know. You told me someone else could do my job. Victor swallowed. Daniel sighed. Send me the system logs. Can't access them. Daniel froze. Why not? Victor's voice dropped. Because the system locked us out completely. Daniel slowly stood. What time did this happen? 11:47. Daniel looked at the clock. 11:53, 6 minutes. He remembered something. 6 minutes after midnight was when the facility's security architecture performed its nightly synchronization. Daniel's expression changed. Victor. Yes, get everyone out of the lower levels. Why? Because if I'm right. Daniel paused. The system isn't broken. Victor looked at the dark control room. Then what is it doing? Daniel answered quietly, protecting itself. The call went silent. Then Victor asked, can you stop it? Daniel looked at his daughter sleeping down the hallway. I might. How? Daniel stared at the phone. Need to bring me back. Victor hesitated. Then another voice came onto the call. Evelyn Sterling. Daniel. He recognized her immediately. Yes, we're offering your job back. Daniel laughed once. No, Evelyn's voice hardened. You don't understand the situation. Daniel looked toward the window outside. Snow covered the quiet street. No, he replied. You don't understand. What? Daniel's voice became cold. You didn't fire the person who knew how to run your system. He paused. You fired the person who knew why it was built. Evelyn went silent. Then the facility's main screen suddenly changed. A new message appeared. Secondary threat DTCTD. Victor stared at it. What does that mean? Daniel heard the alarm through the phone. His expression changed completely. Someone else is inside. Evelyn froze. That's impossible. Daniel shook his head. No, he looked toward Lily's bedroom. What's impossible is that the system detected them before your security team did. Then the call disconnected. Inside the secret facility, every door locked at once. And on the main screen, one final message appeared. Daniel Carter, remote authorization accepted. Evelyn stared at the screen. Daniel hadn't entered a password. He hadn't touched a computer. He hadn't even returned to the facility. Yet the locked system had opened for him. And now, it was waiting for his next command.